Hey everybody, Asian Fahzaly Gamer here. I just want to take a second, put out a small disclaimer to let you all know that I am not a mental health professional. I just want to do my best to be able to help others with my own experience, and at the very least, hope to be able to point people in the right direction if they do need help. And of course, I also want to remind people that we do go into very heavy and potentially triggering subjects. So that is something to be considered. But I do appreciate your support for you being here. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoy this episode of Fahzaly Advice. Hello everybody, and welcome to another episode of Fahzaly Advice. I do want to start this off by saying thank you to you, our viewers. I truly do appreciate your support, and I hope that you have found value in my words. And of course, thank you to our submitters, for without you, there would be no podcast. And of course, if there's anybody out there that is interested in submitting to the Fahzaly Advice podcast and to have your submission read, well, wait until the end of this episode to check out the information that is available to you. Now, with that, let's get on into our first submission, shall we? This one is brought to us by Potential Astartes, and they write, Dear Fahza, recently, I started playing Space Marines 2, and I've been having a blast. This has got me interested in checking out more about the 40k universe, and even the tabletop game. When I went to my local game shop that was having a Warhammer 40k event, I went to go check it out and see if I would be interested in getting into the game. I was having a lot of fun learning from a few veteran players that were there, and another person that was there learning. He and I both stated we were interested because we were both having a blast with Space Marines 2, and it was cool that there was another person there for the same reason. The day started sucking when this douche nozzle overheard us and came over to the table saying we don't belong here or playing Warhammer 40k, that we were just bandwagon fans that won't have the attention span to play this game, and it's people like us that are going to make this game less accessible. It got pretty awkward there, even though the two that were teaching us told that guy to fuck off. It just kinda sucked hearing that when we just wanted to learn more about the game. Do you have any insight or something to say on the matter like this, Fahza? Maybe hearing what you have to say will make me feel a bit better about this. Sincerely, Potential Astartes. Well, Potential Astartes. My insight on this is, who cares what that guy has to say? Your enjoyment of something is not predicated around other people and their opinions. At least it never should be, if that's the case, if that's how you built it, because it shouldn't be that way. No one's opinion should ever really matter to your enjoyment if you're not hurting anybody and you're not causing harm to yourself. This is also why I ultimately tell everybody, never subscribe to fandoms. Enjoy what you enjoy. Build a community based off of that. But if there's anybody willing to tell you, hey, you can't enjoy it this way, or you have to know this to enjoy it, or so on and so forth, and saying that if you don't know this knowledge, you're not a true fan, or whatever kind of nonsense that they want to say, that is just gatekeeping. And gatekeeping is egotism. And it has absolutely no validity to whether or not you are somebody who gets to enjoy something. It doesn't. Despite what some idiots out there may think, other people's opinion has little to no weight unless you allow it to have some. You know, my grandpa always used to say, words are not given power by those who speak. Words are given power by those who listen. And in that instance, there are times where you have no need to listen or care. And when it comes to what other people think about whether or not you deserve to enjoy this because you're not on some supposed pedestal of a level that they have created for themselves is kind of pathetic on their part. You need not step in the shit of their shoes when it comes to their mess and their ego, because it's not your problem. Enjoy what you enjoy. If you are having fun with Space Marines 2, and this gets you to want to learn more about the 40K universe, go for it, because the 40K universe is interesting. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot of deep and what's the word? There is a lot of lore for this particular series. Now, keep in mind, there are some things to consider. I won't really go over certain things, but one big thing to consider is something that I think many people who know the 40K universe and enjoy the 40K universe can agree on, which is that the Warhammer 40K universe is a shit universe. And I don't mean this in the sense that it's a bad universe, it's badly written, or anything like that. I mean that if I had a choice to die a horrible death or live in that universe, I would die a horrible death 1,000 times over, because I don't want to live in Warhammer 40K. It is an interesting story, and there is a lot to learn and a lot to take in, and there is so much to read, and it's all very interesting. It really is. But it ultimately shows you a world of complete ruin, destruction, and terror, the likes of which you don't want to be in. It's cool to, create these armies and stuff like that, but this is definitely one of those universes that I would never want to be isekai to. That aside, I do digress. Don't let someone else's expectations stop you from being yourself and stepping forward and learning about what you are enjoying. Because you're not here to fulfill anybody's expectations. You don't need to be this or that to step into something new. You really don't. You don't need anybody's permission. You don't need that, as you called him, quote unquote, douche nozzle's permission to enjoy Warhammer 40K. There is going to be more people out there that are willing to teach you and willing to bring you into the fold so that you can enjoy the game than there are those idiots out there that are trying to gatekeep, thinking that there is some level of elitism that you have to reach before you can stand amongst them. You know what I say to that? That's what I say to that, because that is a bunch of BS. Nobody needs to be at any form of level to enjoy something. The elitism in games, in board games, I mean, just saying it is pathetic. It makes me feel pathetic. No, there is no elitism in your enjoyment. You enjoy it better than somebody else? Great! That doesn't make you a better person or more valuable than somebody else. And the standpoint that people have for that, there is no standpoint. There is no leg. They are upon a chair that has fallen, and they seem to think that they're still standing. Worry not about the fools. Suffer not the fools of the world for what they have to say, for they have a lot to spew out, and you haven't the time to listen. You've got more things to do. You got things to enjoy, things to learn when it comes down to the Warhammer 40K universe. Space Marines, the Astartes, they are just one small aspect of this universe. There is so much more than just the Tyrannid and the Space Marines. There are the orcs, there are the Eldar, there are so many things to learn, as well as, there's the past of the Warhammer 40K universe, which incidentally doesn't have anything to do with Warhammer High Fantasy. Those two universes are actually separate. That is canon. Be it as that may, never let anybody's judgment stop you from doing what you want to do and learning about what you want to learn about, especially when it comes to video games and fiction. Even so, even in history, the gatekeeping is ridiculous and stupid. And that's how franchises die. That's the thing. This is how franchises die. When you have people that are unwilling to be welcoming or to acquiesce to a newer player base. But they don't seem to realize that they are the reason why their game will die. They are the reason why that their game will become less accessible. Because if the game doesn't get new player base, it's not seen as profitable. If it's not seen as profitable, guess what happens? It gets dumped. It gets tossed aside. They might try to revive it a few times, but if it fails, and because the community is a bunch of dillweeds that are saying, oh, you have to be this and this and this and this and this and this and this before you can even touch the game, yeah, they could disrespectfully eat my whole asshole and unkindly stub their toe if they think that. Because I could give two shits of a fuck what anybody out there has to say about how I enjoy something or how anybody enjoys something. As long as, once again, the only rules in enjoyment is you're not harming yourself and you're not harming others. That's it. If those two factors have been met and you are not harming yourself and you're not harming others, then it doesn't matter. Go enjoy it. Go learn. The internet is there, and there is nobody out there that can stop you from learning. There's nobody out there that can stop you from enjoying, except for you. Because, once again, it is like my grandpa said, words given power by those who listen, by those who speak. So don't give power to the fools out there that want to say so much when they have nothing actual to say. Now, potential Astarte, I hope this leads you down a road where you can just enjoy and not worry about the judgment of others. Have fun and explore what Warhammer 40K has for you. Now, before we move on, I hope that the viewers have found value in my words, and it's time for a small commercial break.
Well, hey there, everybody. Did you know that Asian Fahzaly Gamer has a Patreon?
That's right, everybody, and we're here to tell you about it together.
Subscribers have a chance to see content early, as well as request content on higher tiers.
That's right. You can ask Asian Fahzaly Gamer to read you a story, talk to you about lore or gameplay, or many other things.
But wait, there's more.
Subs that have been stayed around for 3 months or longer get special gifts. And if we reach our stretch goal of 10 subs or more, we will continue to add more to the Patreon, making it better for all of you.
So please consider, at the very least, checking out Asian Fahzaly Gamer's Patreon. Maybe subscribing and supporting him. And of course, we thank you for your time.
What's up, everybody? Random Skull here. I just wanted to let you know that Asian Fahzaly Gamer live streams 5 days a week.
That's right, and you can join him on those 5 days a week by checking out his schedule. He streams on Mondays at 3 p.m., Tuesdays through Thursdays at 1:30 p.m., and on Fridays at 3:30 p.m. Come join the fun and see what we do.
Welcome back, everybody. I do hope that you enjoyed our first submission and found value in my words. And I do want to say thank you to those of you that have watched to this part of the podcast. Thank you so much. Now then, with that, let's get on into our second submission, shall we? This one is brought to us by Natalie the Red Rogue, and they write, Hey Fasha, I saw that you started a D&D podcast that you do live, and I was lucky enough to stop in for an episode a few weeks ago. It was a lot of fun, and I look forward to seeing the next episode of the edited version at the end of this month on YouTube. Yes, I am mentioning this because you did mention in a recent live stream that you needed help from us, your community, to advert and talk up your content more. So take this as me doing my part to help you. So, on to the issue that I am facing. I brought up D&D because it is related to the problem I am dealing with. Our new group DM has recently taken our campaign in a very, very uncomfortable route, and I am afraid it's gonna break up the group. For context, our first DM sadly had to leave the group because his job reassigned him and he had to move. The group decided we wanted to keep going. So we asked everyone if anyone was interested in DMing to continue our campaign. And one of our newest group members said he wanted to. And since no one else stepped up, we all agreed. Since then, he has slowly been breaking the world down and retconning things, saying the previous established canon sucked, and he wouldn't have done this or that, which this has already bothered most of us because we love the world the previous DM established, and our group has developed a bunch together, a total of 3 complete stories. Now, recently, in the last 3 sessions, he started introducing a trope we all wanted to stay away from. But he kept insisting, saying that it wouldn't go the way we thought it would. But well, last session ended in a huge argument, because he, as the DM, attempted to make my character and another person's character, whom are the only 2 girls that are in the group, and captured them as, well, his BBEG's captured lovers. The other girl, whom is a good friend of all of ours except for the DM, walked out, and I was so uncomfortable as the rest of the group started saying this was exactly how they thought it was going to turn out, and the DM, lied. Now it feels like the group is going to break up, but I really don't want that, because it's been a long time since I've had a group that has lasted this long. Like I said, other than the DM, whom is new and introduced by the previous DM, we are all pretty good friends. What can I do to salvage this situation? What would you do, Fasha? Sincerely, Natalie the Red Rogue. Well, Natalie the Red Rogue, I want to say thank you for trusting me with this issue. Now, when it comes down to this situation, this is actually something that I've talked about extensively when it comes to toxic DMs and how groups can survive toxic DMs. Because I've had experience with this. I've had friends that have experience with this. Actually, many members of the D&D podcast that you mentioned, known as the D&D Doofs, all have had experience with toxic DMs. And the number one thing that you need to do, first and foremost, is ask the DM to step down and leave, because he is making everybody uncomfortable. And that is a sign of someone who is neither capable nor ready to be a DM. Good DM is someone who is willing to create a story that all can enjoy and willing to adapt to the measure of chaos that the group brings into the story. Because as much as DMs want to showcase something that they created, part of being a DM specifically for home games and the like is being able to create a game that everyone can enjoy and have fun with. Now, these mechanics are different when it comes to content, but we're not talking about content. Content is very different. When it comes to DMing for friends, DMing for a home game, your only real consideration should be fun, is making a way that creates a story that everyone can interact, not just so that you can build the story that you want. Part of a good DM is being able to build that narrative and weave it into the chaos that is your D&D group. And never should any D&D group suffer a DM that is unwilling to bend or see that they may be part of the problem. Because if someone's not willing to see that, then they will never be part of the solution. And a good DM, needs to be able to see the big picture, much like a good manager. And there can't be an instance where they're so willing to hold on to control that they are blind to everybody else. If they want that, then they should play a single player game. Because if they just want to control all the aspects without considering other people and the individuality of those people and the characters that they created into the story, there's going to be a lot of not fun things that are going to happen in that particular campaign. Now, what would I do to salvage this situation? Part of this salvaging of the situation is going to involve somebody else stepping up to be a DM. Either that, or finding someone who wants to join the group and is willing to be a DM. That might be a little bit of a shaky option for a multitude of reasons. 1, it might take some time to find someone that fits in the group. 2, you might find someone that you think fits in the group, but you're right back where you started with a toxic DM. Or 3, it ends up being that you have the DM and the story just doesn't jive anymore the way that you thought it would, because this new DM does not have the right type of storytelling style that fits in with this established world. There's a lot of factors here. So, as scary as it might be, one of the best ways that you can salvage this is one of the members of the core group needs to build their courage up and consider being the DM if you want to preserve this world as it is. It's a consideration. There's also a consideration that instead of continuing it as a D&D campaign, you could turn it into a narrative, a story. And within that, you can turn it into a group project so that all of you can work together still and come together and build on this world and these characters that y'all have created. There are a multitude of different things you can do. But I think one thing that might not be fully said here is the thing that you're really worried about isn't losing the D&D campaign. You're worried about losing your friends that you had a lot of fun with, that you still cherish, and that you believe that there is so much more to your journey together than where it will end here. Because it does need to end, at the very least, with this DM. He is not a good fit, especially a DM who wants to throw in that kind of narrative. That is something that nobody should be privy to without consent and it already being planned ahead of time. Anything other than that is very, very creepy. I'm not sorry. I'm not. I was about to say I'm sorry, but that's something that I gotta kind of work around, because I'm not sorry about that. I'm not. Because if you think that being a DM puts you in a position where you can manipulate others and live out some of your darker fantasies, you are creepy. Unless, of course, once again, the group has the full consent and that's what they're there for. That's a whole nother thing, though. That's different. But when it comes to a DM that's willing to force that and even willing to manipulate into forcing that, that in itself speaks volumes to his character. And you need not expose that friend group to that anymore. But y'all are having fun, and I think if you cut out that one person from the group, it doesn't matter what happens. It doesn't matter whether or not you're playing D&D. It doesn't matter whether or not y'all just go out and watch a movie together. The friendship will still be there. Don't think that that's just simply going to falter because there's change afoot. Change happens. It's natural. It's also natural to be scared of it. But don't think that that change is immediately going to lead to you losing rather than gaining. It's just a matter of seeing the big picture. But like I said, if you want to preserve this campaign, you do have options. There's the option of turning it into a story, a novel, a fanfic, and turning it into a group project so y'all can still talk about it. Or one of you steps up and be the DM. And I know that might be scary, but being a DM is a lot more fun than you think. And if you give your group the idea and the chance to rotate between people, then everyone has a chance to grow as a player and as a DM. And that might make your campaign and your group so much stronger. You never know, right? But that's part of life. That's part of the journey that we have to take, is not knowing. Because Murphy's Law is always at play. And you never know what's around the next corner. But you can't let that cow you from stepping forward and looking forward to what may come. I truly do appreciate you bringing this up, and I hope for the best. I really do. But remember, as much as you are afraid of what might happen, if you don't do anything, what you fear will come to pass. This group will be no more, and it will be at the hands of this DM who seems to want to do nothing more than live out their fantasies without the consideration of others. And a DM, good DM, even just a mediocre DM, will have that basic consideration, which isn't hard to have. Now, I do appreciate you, Natalie the Red Rogue, and I do hope that both you and our first submitter have found value in my words, that I was able to help you. And as well as, I do appreciate our viewers, and I do hope that you enjoyed today's episode of Fahzaly Advice. I do apologize if my voice does sound a little bit crackier than normal. It is trying to get away from me, but I am doing my best. So, thank you so much for joining me today, but it's time for this love train to get rolling on through. Choo choo. I love every single freaking one of you. Well, everybody, that's the end of Fahzaly Advice. I hope you did enjoy this episode and you found some value in what I said. And of course, if you are interested in participating, if you need some advice or some perspective, feel free to email the address at the end of this part. And remember, all submissions are 100% anonymous. Thank you so much and have a wonderful day.
Need some perspective? Need some advice? Want your submission read on podcast? Well, email Fahza at fahzalyadvice@gmail.com. And remember, all submissions are 100% anonymous unless requested upon.